Hello international students, this is Ishan Arya, and in this video I'm going to help you out with a few frequently asked questions. By answering these questions, hopefully your transition from India or around the world, wherever you're coming from, to Australia would be smooth. So answering a few commonly asked questions and queries that students have. The first one usually is, what should I bring with me? My suggestion would be you could bring your laptop. Well, you can buy a laptop here. The costs are usually the same. My suggestion would be to bring a suit. Now, the suits in Australia are quite expensive compared to many international countries. So bringing your own suit should be helpful. Now, why do you need a suit? You may have presentations at university. You may have a job interview. So it's good to bring a suit with you. Your phone, a few utensils would be good, because buying utensils over here for cooking could be a bit expensive. Make sure you bring your adapter. Shoes are quite expensive here as well. Bring your charger. Now, what not to bring? Don't end up bringing food. You get everything over here. You have different restaurants, plus you have specialty grocery stores as well. For example, if you're coming from India, you get all the masalas, all the traditional food items, idli batter, for example, Maggi noodles, everything is available. So don't waste your luggage space in bringing food. You also run the risk of the food being detained at the immigration, because some food items are not allowed. So make sure you check that out as well. And finally, I don't think there is a need to bring a cooker. Usually you get very cheap rice cookers over here for $40 or $50. So that is something you don't need to bring. The next question students usually have is accommodation. Where should I live? Where should I stay? When should I book it? Usually you should try to book your accommodation before you arrive to Australia. You don't want to be homeless when you arrive, so make sure you book in advance. Usually people in Australia communicate through email. So email is an official mode of communication. Try to email the landlord or the agent and book your accommodation. Now, the three types of accommodations I would like to talk about. One is on campus. That's the accommodation within your university. Usually the rooms are quite small on campus, but you have a good environment. You meet a lot of people. You meet students across hundreds of countries, literally. You can make friends quite easily. It's usually close to university, so going for exams isn't as stressful as living off campus. Attending uni is just 2 minutes away. You save money on travel. You save a lot of time. Once you're around the campus, life is much easier. Now, different on-campus accommodations cost different money. It ranges from approximately $700 per month to some campuses charging you $1,400 per month as well. That is Australian dollars. The next option is off-campus accommodation. Now, there's a lot of variety in off-campus accommodations. Usually students share the houses. Some of them share the rooms as well. On an average, the cost should be around $100 per week if you're sharing a room or sharing the house. Now, this does not include bills. Usually bills, that is light bill, water bill, internet, all of that combined per person should be around $50 per month. So you have $100 per week and $50 per month. That is your rent and your other expenses, bills included. Now, there are some good properties which are off campus. They may cost a bit on the higher end, maybe $150 per week, that too if you share. The third category is student accommodations, but the ones which are off campus, not on the campus. These ones usually cost around the same. The only disadvantage is that you're paying the same as an on-campus accommodation, but you're not really on the campus. It's just a safer environment. It's a bigger community, that's all. So that was with the accommodation. The next question students have is, which bank do students go for? Now, NAB is quite popular, Westpac is popular, ANZ is popular, but from my point of view, Commonwealth Bank is the most favorite bank among international students. The next question is SIM card. Now, it depends on you. You need to check which SIM card is friendly for your country to call back home. As far as India is concerned, I would say Vodafone. Most of the students over here use Vodafone, and Vodafone $50 prepaid should give you around 1,000 minutes to call to India. So that's a pretty popular choice. The next question students ask is travel related. So what are the expenses of living in Australia? Now I live in Melbourne. I could definitely tell you for Melbourne is extremely expensive. Not as expensive as Sydney, but we are quite expensive. In Melbourne, roughly wherever you stay, usually on an average from the place you live to university should be around $3 to $4 by public transport. We have trams, trains and buses. Then if you're using a taxi, I'm giving you an average. Around for 20 minutes of travel by taxi should cost you around $50, 50. And then if you're using Uber is almost legalized, not 100%, but everybody uses Uber over here. Around for the same time, so let's say for 20 minutes, it should cost you around $25 using an Uber. So this gives you a little idea about how the transportation costs are. As far as groceries are concerned, students usually on an average spend $100 per month on groceries. Now the next question that's usually asked, it's very common, is safety. How safe is Australia? How racist is Australia? Let me tell you, there is a common misconception about Australia being racist for whatever reasons, for the infamous 2009 attacks, the racial riots that took place in Sydney. But apart from those, on an average, if you're spending a regular day in Melbourne or Australia, it's extremely safe, not racist at all. Well, if you actually look at the United Nations Index for Racism, after Canada, Australia is the second non-racist country in the world. So that actually explains, it's not just my point of view, United Nations is backing it up as well. Now, as far as safety is concerned, just use your common sense. What you would do back home, don't go out too late at night, don't go to shady places, dark places, keep your phone on you, don't flash your ornaments. 000 is the emergency number over here, keep that handy. What is very important though, another point is your personal safety, what you carry on you. Back home, where I'm from India, we do carry pocket knives for safety, it is allowed. We do carry pepper sprays, which is allowed. In Australia, that's not allowed. So bear in mind, when you're in Australia, you don't carry any weapons, of course not weapons, but don't even carry a tiny pocket knife, Swiss knife, don't carry those, not allowed. Don't carry a pepper spray as well, not allowed, okay? You just call 000, that's what you do for your safety. Now, another part is some people do get provoked if they are drunk, if they're under the influence of drugs, if you stare at them. So try to avoid staring at people if you're not comfortable with them. Look away, okay? Start talking to somebody else. Talking to somebody else brings me to another point. For your safety, make sure you don't annoy people. Usually people get annoyed if you're talking in your home language loudly. So if I'm having a conversation with a friend in my local language, that's fine. But if I start becoming too loud, people don't understand what's going on. They just get annoyed. Also, if you have a person that does not speak your language in a conversation, so let's say I'm talking to two people, one from my own country who understands my language and another one who does not. Make sure you speak in a language that everybody understands. In Australia, it's very rude to talk in the presence of someone, in the company of someone, in a language that they do not understand. Please bear that in mind. Another thing is about racism. People love to make racial jokes, they like to pull your leg, but that's the way of Australians to show that they are friendly with you. So try not to get offended. If the jokes are too offensive, tell them politely that that is something that's offending you. But don't misunderstand the jokes with racism. Just a heads up for you. As far as Melbourne is concerned, Sydney is concerned, they're amazing cities. Melbourne has been getting the vote for the most livable city in the world for many years now. So any city is actually fine. Not a big difference, but I would say Melbourne, then Sydney, these are amazing cities for students to live and study. The next question is about lectures and tutorials. How does it work in Australia? Now, once again, it differs from university to university, from course to course. I will tell you in general. In general, your degree is made up of a particular number of points. A bachelor's degree is made up of 3 years. Each year has 2 semesters, so that is 6 semesters. Each semester has usually 4 subjects. Each subject is worth 15 points. So that makes it 15 times 4, 60. 60 points for 1 semester, 120 points for 1 year, 360 points for a bachelor's degree to be completed. Now for each subject, you usually have 1 lecture, which usually is 1 hour or 2 hours long. And then you have tutorials. Usually, the lectures don't have attendance, the tutorials have an attendance. Lectures are meant for the lecturer to convey the concepts. Tutorials are usually used to apply those concepts. Now, if you are not from the business side or art side, you're from the science side, instead of the tutorials, you would have laboratory. You would have your labs. You'll actually have practical lab sessions where you apply the knowledge. If you're a biochemistry student, you will have a lab with experiments after the lecture is done. So it does differ. And usually the way the lectures work or the tutorials work is you book the slot that you want. Lectures are fixed, but tutorials, lab sessions are not fixed. They are flexible. You can go online and check the one that suits your timetable. The next bit is about university ranking. Students spend a lot of time on checking which university ranks where. My suggestion is don't worry too much. It doesn't matter much. What matters is your grades and what you do apart from your studies while you're completing your degree. Let's say you're a marketing student. Don't just complete your degree. Try to work part-time in a marketing role. So once you are in the job or in the workforce, you have your degree and an experience relevant to your degree to showcase. The university ranking will not matter. However, for those students who really care about university ranking, it's not uni ranking that you should be concerned about. Check the ranking of your department. Check the ranking of your course coordinator. Check the reputation of the course coordinator. The school within the university, where does that stand as compared to the world rankings? That is something you need to check. Another big question students have is work placement. Will the university give us jobs or help us get jobs after completion of the degree? Will employers come to university to interview students? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Unlike many countries around the world, in Australia, you don't have employers coming to university to interview graduates, to interview students who are passing out. Unfortunately, you're by yourself. So once you're done with your degree, you start applying for the jobs, you're by yourself, the university does not help. Unless you are enrolled in a specific course that mentions that if you take up that course, the course will place you. But again, the seats are usually limited, it's very competitive. So be aware, don't be under the impression that you will have a guaranteed job once you finish your degree. Remember, you're by yourself. The next part is part-time jobs. Many students ask me, can I work easily? Where should I work? Is it easy to earn money? Number 1, it's easy to get a part-time job. Number 2, very sadly, unfortunately, it's something that makes me very angry, and that is most of the students get part-time jobs where they are exploited. Unfortunately, in Australia, many casual workplaces, many part-time workplaces, which are owned by many Indians or Chinese or even Vietnamese, exploit their employees. The minimum legal wage, I'm telling you on an average in Australia is $18, 18 point something. What these people pay the international students is around $10. So unfortunately, it's really sad to say this, but be prepared to be exploited. I'm working hard, I work for the union, we are trying our best to reduce what's happening, to reduce the exploitation that's happening, but for the time being, it exists. So yes, you can work part-time. Many international students work part-time in 7-Elevens, at fuel stations, at restaurants, at groceries. They work as kitchen hands, as chefs, as waiters. So these are the different jobs students take up. The pay is usually illegal. It is around $10 to $12 per hour. If you're lucky, try to get a job under a local management or Italian management or Greek management. Try to go under a management that is not from India, China, or Vietnam, or Pakistan, Bangladesh, because those managers will exploit you. Try to go for a local management. They are the ones who usually, not always, usually pay a legal wage. So you'll be better off compared to the illegal jobs. Not illegal jobs, illegal pay. The next part is getting a job after you finish your degree. Now, getting a job after you finish your degree depends on you. Like I said earlier, if you have worked part-time in a field relevant to your job, it's easier to get a job. If you haven't, it is tougher. Now, at many workplaces, unfortunately, they only want students who have got their PR, that is permanent residency. Now, after you finish your degree, getting a PR takes up to 1 year. So that 1 year could be a struggle time. Once you have your PR and you have worked in a relevant field to your job, it is much easier to get a job. Until then, it is a bit of a struggle. Now, as far as getting a PR is concerned, I'm not an agent. You have to contact official migration agents that are registered, but be prepared. Many times, students fall short of the permanent residency points for 2 factors. 1, their English language. Number 2, their age or their work experience. What do students do to fulfill that? Many times they take up something called a professional year. A professional year is a course that teaches you how to shake your hands, how to hold a drink, how to wear a suit, etc. For that you need to pay a lot of money, around $15,000. You have to spend 1 year. But that course gives you a few points which helps you for your permanent residency. So be prepared when you're planning your finances, when you're making future plans to settle in Australia. A professional year is something that you may come across. For rest, please contact legal registered migration agents. The next question is not really a question, it's something from my side, from my end, that I need to tell international students. Academic integrity is extremely important in Australia. It's taken very seriously, which means do not plagiarize. If you're copying your own work, you have to reference it. If you're writing if you're copying a paragraph from a book, you should put it in inverted commas, or you should try to paraphrase it, write in your own words, and still give a reference. If you have taken someone's idea, let's say the idea is not written anyway as such, but it's not your original idea, you still need to reference it. So once you come down to Australia, try to meet an academic, try to meet somebody in the library and learn about the rules surrounding plagiarism. Many international students fail due to plagiarism. I hope you're not one of them. Now, if you have any other questions which I haven't covered, feel free to comment below and I'll try to answer them. Who am I, by the way? My name is Ishan Arya. I'm a lecturer at La Trobe University. I teach HR and I also I'm a tutor for economics, management, sometimes in politics as well. My qualification, I'm about to complete my PhD in International Relations and Politics, and I've been in Australia for the past 9 years. I've done a lot of work for international students, held a lot of positions, worked in different sectors in Australia, done a lot of volunteer work as well, so that's where I gather all my experience. I'm not doing this professionally. Professionally, I'm a lecturer and a PhD student, a candidate. I'm doing this as a hobby, as a passion, because I love to help international students. If you'd like to know more about me, you can check out my website. It's www.ishanarya.com.au. Ishan is E-S-H-A-N-A-R-Y-A, ishanarya.com.au. Thank you very much. Hope this video is useful. All the best.